Tonight, Port Augusta Council considers cameras at Gladstone Square as antisocial behaviour increases in the CBD. And a new podcast is making waves across the Eyre Peninsula in its mission to spread a message of hope.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. The Port Augusta City Council is looking into installing CCTV cameras in one of its most prominent CBD locations. The Mayor says it's unfortunate that they've been forced to go down the surveillance route, but with the increase of antisocial behaviour, they've been left with no choice.
Keeping an eye on the heart of the city. Port Augusta's Gladstone Square has always been a central meeting point for the community, but recently it has been hosting disrespectful behaviour instead. The City Council says the park has seen an increase in litter, antisocial behaviour and the destruction of others' property, which they hope to stop by installing surveillance equipment in the park.
We are already reviewing the opportunity to try to get funding, get cameras to cover that area. Unfortunately, now we have to do that.
The idea of installing cameras was pitched after wreaths from last week's Anzac Day ceremony were found destroyed the following day. The symbols of respect for Australian troops allegedly being thrown and pulled apart was the last straw for the council.
Wreaths that were placed for the people that served our country being destroyed by individuals, absolutely pathetic, disgusting and gutless. I don't know if these people realise what the recognition was for. I mean, I always say we're not a lucky country by chance. We're a lucky country because people died for us.
As the Minister, I'm very, very frustrated, but I'm also very frustrated and very disappointed as a local member here now. And I just hope that these people who have done that really consider what they have done.
The Mayor says the cameras will not only help identify culprits, but their presence will hopefully deter the behaviour from occurring in the first place.
I hope those people that did what they did have a good long think about how destructive that was and how hurtful that was.
Anyone with information about the destroyed reefs is urged to come forward to police or submit an anonymous tip through Crime Stoppers. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Indigenous groups in the Yorke Peninsula have taken the opportunity to reintroduce cultural burning to help reduce bushfire risk. The Landscape Board says the reintroduction of the practice will help their connection to country.
Bringing Indigenous cultural burns back to the Yorke Peninsula. The Northern and Yorke Landscape Board collaborating with First Nations people to restore Indigenous land management practices.
A lot of Aboriginal groups around the country are keen to reinstate those practices. It's because we know there's many benefits. One is that it keeps country healthy.
Last week, people from the Narungga and Nukunu country conducted low-intensity burns to 5 sites across the region. Takalaka man and fire practitioner Victor Stephenson sharing his knowledge with other Indigenous people. Nukunu man Jared Thomas highlighting their connection to country with their burning practices.
People just felt really proud to be doing this work again and strong, and just knowing that we're continuing the work that our ancestors were doing for thousands of years.
In a statement, Landscapes Board's Partnership Officer Matthew Turner says the reintroduction of cultural burns is good for country and an expression of culture.
We need a whole range of partners who are caring for the environment to conduct this work, and Landscape SA are a really important part of that picture.
According to Mr. Thomas, cultural burning is less intensive than backburning, with more consideration for the surrounding habitat and soil health. More burns are expected in the near future. Mark Zita, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Senator Rex Patrick made his way down to Port Lincoln yesterday as a part of his political campaign ahead of this month's federal election. The senator stopped and spoke with locals, discussing some of the region's most topical issues.
An important visit for the senator as he prepares for the federal election. Rex Patrick making his political stance in the region.
I want to see an Eyre Peninsula that has a plan laid out for growth, for wealth, for jobs. That's going to involve a whole range of different things.
Desalination at the top of his list. The senator, formerly involved with the Hands Off Boston Bay group, advocating for a desalination plant to be placed in an environmentally sustainable location.
I want to see a desal plant not put in Boston Bay, that is the wrong place, but somewhere where it's more suitable. And I want a desal plant that doesn't just look at solving the Yulee Basin problem.
Mobile phone black spots also a timely topic.
Currently, the government has a mobile phone black spot program. It's a band-aid solution to what is a safety of life issue. We've got black spots all across the Eyre Peninsula that need to be addressed.
Mr Patrick taking the time to meet with locals at the Tasman Hotel, where he was joined with independent candidate for the seat of Grey, Liz Harberman. The senator rallying around the independents.
I'd like people to know that when they vote for an independent, it is not a wasted vote. The Senate has had a situation where crossbenchers have held the balance of power.
The federal election will be held in just over 2 weeks on Saturday, May 21st. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
New data has shown the Division of Grey is one of the hardest hit electorates where mortgage payments will rise due to the increase in interest rates. The data from News Corp Australia shows mortgages in Grey will see a minimum rise of $18 a month to a maximum of $66 a month. Over the border in Broken Hill, the minimum rise will be $14.51 to a max of just over $50. It's the first rate rise from the Reserve Bank in 11 years. Earlier this week, the RBA decided to lift rates to 0.35% as a response to a spike in inflation. Still to come tonight, preparations underway for Youth Week in Whyalla. We'll have a preview of what you can expect. And do you fit the bill? The Broken Hill Talent Agency on the lookout for the next big star. Welcome back. You're watching 7 Spencer Gulf News. Preparations are underway for South Australia Youth Week activities in Whyalla. The Whyalla Youth Advisory Committee is organising events with support from the Department of Human Services.
Celebrating what it is to be a young person in the Steel City. The Whyalla Youth Advisory Committee organising special events for the city's youth to attend on the 13th and 20th of May.
SA Youth Week is the largest celebration of young people aged 12 to 25 for all of South Australia. Used to be branded as National Youth Week and now it's a state-by-state celebration.
Youth have a choice of attending 2 movies, Ghostbusters next Friday or Spider-Man the following week. For this year's Youth Week, while it is a general celebration, the committee will be focused on connection, belonging and socialisation in response to COVID pandemic lockdowns. Goodie bags for those who attend the movie nights.
They're around wellbeing, so there's some inside the bags, there's things that will connect you, keep you grounded, some mindfulness, this is colouring in books. So we've got a limited amount of bags.
South Australian Youth Week is run in coordination with the Department of Human Services, which also provides funding for the Youth Advisory Committee to run the events. Other events are also being held across the state, with Whyalla youth encouraged to check them out.
What Youth Week involves is celebrating the achievements, the contributions, the diversity of all our young people, aged 12 to 25.
More information can be found on the Department of Human Services website. Mark Zita, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
South Australia is one step closer to having a Crossborder Commissioner appointed. A bill will be introduced into state parliament in a bid to improve relations with the 4 other mainland states it shares borders with. Primary Industries Minister Claire Scriven says the position will give border communities someone with the power to negotiate with the other states on their behalf. The Commissioner will be based in Mount Gambier. Broken Hill Talent Agency is on the lookout for actors for an upcoming blockbuster movie. If you're a man 6'2" to 6'3", there's 2 roles that might be suited to you. Or if you're a woman around 5'3" in your 20s to late 30s, then this could be your ticket to stardom.
If you're an actor and are keen to represent the Silver City on the silver screen, then this is your chance. Broken Hill Talent Agency is on the lookout for people to be in a blockbuster movie. Even though they are after certain types to fill the empty roles, the agency would like to use locals.
I know the requirements are extremely specific, but I would really rather get people who are local, because that's what I am, a local talent agency.
Christine has been on the hunt for a while, and now it's getting urgent, with the film expecting to get underway in the area at the end of the month or into early June. The agency has even tried approaching people in the street.
If I see someone on the street, I literally chased a man down the street the other day, a tall man with white hair, to my dismay that he was from Tasmania.
After spending 40 years away from her hometown, it was Christine's dream to return to the Silver City to open her own agency. A life well lived, Christine is no stranger to celebrities, rubbing shoulders with the filmmaker behind the Mad Max franchise.
I've been fortunate enough to actually be on a George Miller production going back in the 80s called Cara Breakout. So I have worked with George.
Though no luck yet on the recruitment front, there are some locals who think one of our homegrown actors would do a great job.
I think a lot of people don't really get to try out the creative stuff, and I think extra work in acting is a really good gateway to that.
If you'd like to be a part of the production, you can contact Broken Hill Talent Agency on their Facebook page. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Meet the Port Augusta artists turning trash into treasure you can wear. And the team from Mentally Fit EP branch out into the podcasting world. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Gulf News. In a story of waste not, want not, Port Augusta residents are turning rubbish into stylish clothing. A local gallery's newest exhibition is now open and hopes to encourage others to recycle.
From junk to funk, artists from Port Augusta's Platform Gallery have embarked on a mission to give household waste a second lease on life. Their new exhibition titled Trashion has seen the community craft dresses out of rubbish in the most creative ways.
How will we have exhibitions that anyone in the community can contribute to? And Trashion came up as an idea where people could actually just use trash rather than spending a lot of money on artistic materials and show their creativity.
Each dress is unique in style and the materials it is made from, with some using plastic bags to achieve old world charm, while others use cardboard to create futuristic fashion.
I thought, right, I'm going to indulge my love of 18th century fashion and see what I can construct using what was in my shed.
People using can ring pulls and crocheting them together to make a beautiful little bodice, beautiful technique. Coffee pods, ironed plastic so the plastic all melts together and creates a new fabric.
Organisers say half the fun for guests is trying to identify where the materials came from, like these decorative flowers that were tea bags in a previous life.
It was more the fun of doing it than bringing it down and putting it in the exhibition in the end. But people are really liking it.
And they actually engaged really well with the pieces in here. A bit of a giggle, a bit of a wow, or a bit of a, awestruck, and then a kind of interest in the way that different things have been put together.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Mentally Fit EP, a community aiming to reduce the stigma around mental illness, is spreading their message of hope through a new podcast. The platform hopes to help people going through tough times by hearing from different guests from across the Eyre Peninsula.
A positive podcast spreading an important message.
Welcome back to Mentally Fit EP and me. Today we're in Port Lincoln.
It's a platform celebrating hope, with listeners tuning in to hear stories from all walks of life.
The Mentally Fit EP and Me podcast is a collection of stories from people around the Eyre Peninsula. We're hoping to go far and wide and collect as many as possible, but it's about people sharing their stories.
In a time where face-to-face contact has been restricted, Lane is hoping to bring people together through the podcast.
Connection is really important, and the last 2 years we've had a real lack of connection because we haven't been able to come together, and the podcasts create that opportunity to sort of learn from each other but also create that feeling of, I'm not alone.
The duo from Mentally Fit EP are seeking out locals, encouraging them to share their stories to inspire others.
Sharing of stories helps lots of other people just by listening, and it might give someone the confidence to actually feel like, well, hey, maybe what I've been through, someone could actually get something positive from that.
The podcast already gaining traction with 10 episodes ready to be published. Through the sharing of people's journeys, the podcast has opened new conversations.
What we have had is that once people have listened to the podcast, they've then connected with us and with the person who has been our guest, and they've spoken about how positive that's been.
The podcast can be found on Spotify or on the Mentally Fit EP Facebook page. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Some familiar faces head to Broken Hill for a weekend of footy, and we'll have the weather details with John Hunt. Welcome back. You're watching 7 Spencer Golf News. Central Broken Hill Football Club have acquired both a former and a current star for this weekend's game against South Broken Hill. Brendan Favola and Jess Hosking will put on the Magpies jerseys and lead their teams out for the big clash.
Now that footy is well and truly back, Central Broken Hill have called on some big guns to come play in their clash with South. Former Carlton Blues and Brisbane Lions star Brendan Favola and current Blues midfielder Jess Hosking donning a black and white jersey.
Probably about 12 months ago, I took the idea to our board and they were happy to support it. So we've been working hard over the last, 12 months. It's finally almost here.
The club has worked hard over the past year to make this happen, with some fundraising and local businesses helping to get both players to the Silver City.
We've been doing a lot of fundraising and things so that we, the club, don't have to fork out too much of the cost of bringing the players out here.
The talented pair won't just be playing football on Saturday. Both Hosking and Favola will head to the ground early to chat with all the players, from juniors to seniors. They'll also have a Q&A at the Central Clubhouse that night, which isn't just for teammates.
No, definitely. We've got it open to everyone. There is a $10 cash entry fee on the door, but everyone is welcome to come.
Gates open at 8 a.m, with the women's A-grade game starting at 11:25 a.m. and the men's starting at 2:30 p.m. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Golf News.
We all know it takes more than a bit of cold weather to stop Spencer Golf locals from wetting a line. Kicking off this week's Fish and Tips segment, here's Jamie Crawford in Port Lincoln.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. There's been a bit of activity even with the cooler weather. There's been quite a few squid caught locally. So off of the town jetty, off of the rocks out at Murray's Point, and also up along the North Shore there has been some good squid caught. There's been quite a few nice sized garfish in the bay too, once again up along the North Shore. Whiting reports haven't been too bad. There have been some fish caught in Proper Bay and also from the rocks within the National Park and also out at Murray's Point. Moving over to Coffin Bay, within the bay system there's been quite a few salmon trout. Worthwhile having a bigger bait down. Well, that's all for tips this week. We'll see you again next week.
Hi, Whalers Fishing Tips this week, land-based from the local fishing jetty. A few Tommy Ruffs still getting caught there, some really good numbers too. Still some good numbers of squid and also a few crabs, only getting a handful, but if you work through the smaller ones, you still can get amongst them. Over to Point Lowly, land-based, a really nice big school of salmon holding up around the Point Lowly Lighthouse, so get amongst those. And for the boat anglers, good news is some nice King George whiting have started to move in with the cooler weather.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Augusta, Jewel the North. Well, as you can see behind me, this is perfect weather at the moment. The King George whiting have really come on the bite and they're quite big at the moment as well. A little bit further south there on the entrance to Flinders Channel and also down far as the Yatla as well. Big snook can be found around out in the middle banks there and some big flatter getting caught by also the guys in the King George whiting. Good catches of garfish can be had if you go out and dabbing on these nice calm nights. Try and pick the moonless night with a bit of cloud cover and they'll be a little bit further up the top. And really good catches of squid as you'd expect for this time of year as well. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with John Hunt. John, it was cold this morning.
It certainly was, Maddie. At 6:30 in Port Augusta this morning, the feels like temperature gauge was reading just 1.9 degrees. It was enough to make you wish you could lie in. From 3 p.m. today, Woodna was 16, Clare only reached 12 degrees, and Coober Pedy was cloudy and topped 17. Showers in Whyalla, Port Pirie and Port Lincoln all 16. Port Augusta was 15, 14 in Clare and Kadina, and Broken Hill was partly cloudy and 15 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, and speckled cloud across the south in a cold air mass behind a front is generating a few isolated showers. High cloud further north is not bringing any rain. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and on the Gulf waters, southwest to southerly winds 15 to 20 knots, seas 1 to 1.5 metres, and south to southwesterly swells also 1 to 1.5 metres. Showers in most parts tomorrow. Port Lincoln is set to reach 17, Cleve and Woodna both with a max of 16. Whyalla to top 17, Port Augusta and Kadina will both reach 18 degrees. Port Pirie will be 18, Clare just 14, and Broken Hill will be partly cloudy and reach 15. Taking a look further through the week now, and showers in Port Pirie, Kadina and Adelaide on Saturday, while conditions have cleared elsewhere. Mostly sunny in Port Augusta with 19 degrees, partly cloudy in Woodna and Coober Pedy, also 19, Port Lincoln and Whyalla both 18, sunny across the border in Broken Hill with 16. Clearer on Sunday with partly cloudy conditions in most parts, Whyalla, Kadina and Port Lincoln all to reach 19, Port Pirie, Woodna and Coober Pedy all 20, Broken Hill 16. And similar conditions again on Monday. Mostly sunny in Port Augusta, Kadina, Port Lincoln and Broken Hill. Partly cloudy everywhere else. And that's all in the weather from me for tonight. I hope you're keeping warm. It's back to you, Maddie.
Thanks for that, John. And that's the local news this Thursday. I'm Madeline Kerr. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.